Jonathan Pogash is the cocktail guru, a mixologist and hospitality expert.
See? You know big words. Dude, I'm the cocktail guru. Cheers.
Jeffrey's his dad, a wine and spirits author, historian, and consultant.
So, I do my homework.
With decades of experience, they're always looking for the next big thing. Join this father and son duo for a few laughs as they explore the hottest trends in hospitality with the service industry's leading trailblazers and tastemakers. Welcome to the Cocktail Guru Show.
The Cocktail Guru Show, back at it again, live recording at Dear Irving on Hudson in Midtown Manhattan.
And see, I told you, John, you have to just grab people off the street because you never know who you're going to find.
And we just dragged him off the street.
We found an author.
And I was doing very well on the corner until you interrupted me, too. So
we tapped you on the shoulder, and we saw you, and we thought, Robin Robinson.
Would you like to be on our podcast?
Come on the show. Anybody on the show,
and
obviously.
Here he is, Robin Robinson.
Oh, my goodness.
Welcome to the Cocktail Guru Show.
Author
thank you,
of The History of Whiskey.
Thank you.
And we have the books here, which we're going to get.
Newly released.
Actually, not yet released. October 21st is the actual release date, but here we are jumping ahead.
The episode will come out around then, so that'll be perfect.
Okay, great. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with Robin Robinson.
At the Cocktail Guru, it's all about the experience. We want our clients to taste and feel the aroma, the temperature, the flavor, to make memories when they try our cocktails. The Cocktail Guru was born in 2006 when there was a need for high-quality cocktails, bartender training, and expertly crafted drinks for special events. Then the Guru team moved to Massachusetts and expanded nationally. We even provide cocktail demonstrations on morning television institutions like The Today Show. Consider the Guru team for all of your events. Corporate clients enjoy our entertaining team-building exercises. Bachelorette mixology classes are fun for everyone. We can craft a signature cocktail bar for any occasion. Plus, the Guru team can design cost-effective beverage programs with staff training for any bar or restaurant. And be sure to join us for the Cocktail Guru podcast, where we regularly interview some of the hospitality industry's best. So why not consider the Cocktail Guru for your next project? Cheers.
So tell us about your journey, if we can rewind, your journey to where you are today. I mean, how did you get into the world of spirits? Going way back.
Yeah, well, here in New York City, I was an actor.
That's right.
For many, many years.
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't, yeah. But I actually worked. I just want you to know that. I actually made money. But a lot of it was actually doing other gigs. And one other gig was impersonating people for parties and like really expensive bar mitzvahs back in the 80s and like corporate parties and stuff like that. I got hired by a friend of mine to impersonate a Scottish distiller for a group of private people on Park Avenue to do a tasting of 4 single malt Scotch whiskey. So the first question was, well, when's the gig? Well, it's Saturday night. Okay, cool. I'm free. How much does it pay? Well, it's $250 cash. Okay, yeah, I'm in it. And oh, by the way, what is a single malt Scotch whiskey? This is about 1985, right? So I'm practicing here my accent, in
very good.
Time that you'll say so, but if there's a Scot in the room, they're going to say, "Don't quit your day job." So I'm practicing the accent. Somebody from the club, it was a private club on Park Avenue, sent some magazines and pamphlets because there was no internet. And I spent all week studying these things and trying to learn these weird words and stuff like that. I went to the party. There were Scottish people there, men in kilts. I'm thinking, oh, God, this is going to be terrible. I told them, I said, look, this is not going to work out if someone understands who I am and discovers me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to end the event with a 25-year-old Macallan. Now, I had to be explained what that meant in terms of like, okay, it's like the Cavassier of whiskey, right? And so I said, do you have an 18-year-old Macallan? They said, yeah, we've got one at the club. I said, do me a favor. Take the whiskey, pour it into a container, and then fill the bottle back up with iced tea. Put a little bit of the whiskey, pour it in the top, put that in front of my setting when I come in. And so what I did, my thinking was anybody who's drinking will have an attitude. And anybody who has an attitude, nobody will ask questions of them. And so here I am, a Scot with an attitude drinking. So I'm draining this bottle of iced tea, right? And with water too, because that's how the Scots drink it, with water. And all of these people were just like, oh my goodness. And of course I was much, much, much younger than all of them at the time. And so we're going from, I remember the setup was we started with a Glenlivet. We went to a Glenmorangie 15 back when they were bottling 15s. We did a Lefroy 10-year-old, and then we ended it with a 25-year-old Macallan. And you should have seen when I brought the Lefroy to my nose. I'm thinking I didn't even know how to pronounce this correctly. I had never smelled it, never drank it. And I bring it, I'm going, oh my God, there's something wrong with this. This can't be smelling like this on purpose. And so I remember drinking it. And you got to remember now, I'm a distiller from Scotland. So I just felt like the back of my head blew up against the wall behind me because I had to keep a straight face. Yeah. That was the beginning. I got paid the next morning. I bought my first bottle of real Scotch whiskey, 1999, a bottle of 12-year-old Macallan. I've been... For years and years and years, I was that guy at the party that would kind of corner you and kind of tell you about Scotch whiskey, and everyone's going like, get me the fuck away from this guy, because he's like boring the hell out of me. But I was that guy. Wow. And what were you doing as an actor? What kind of acting gigs were you doing? Oh, I did everything. Did you voiceovers? I did voiceovers. I did on-camera commercials. I did a lot with Wendy's. Me and Dave were like this, you know? Yeah, right. I did 4 commercials. Dave Thomas, yeah. I remember Dave says, Robin, great to see you again. And I said, hey, Dave, man, awesome, And he goes, well, how's your family? Because, I had a daughter at that time. I go, well, great, thanks, Dave. And he goes, Don, give Robin one of my cards. And so Don is the card guy. So Don gives me one of Dave's business cards, And so that was kind of like this big thing. I did Crest. I did a commercial for Frosted Mini Wheats. Wow. And I did an episode of Married with Children, which I still get. Ready for this? I still get residuals for it. I get a check. I think the check, the cost of processing the check is more than what the value of the check is. But the power of unions, man. I mean, that's pretty incredible. So and I did a lot of soap operas. My mother never accepted the fact that I was an actor. She wanted me to be a lawyer. She wanted me to be this and this. And I fell in love with acting. And I said, this is essentially where my life path is at. And until I got cast on not only her favorite soap opera, Guiding Light, but it was the soap opera from which a character came that she named me from.
Wow.
You're kidding.
My mom was into all the soap operas. She was a beautician back when I was born, and the Guiding Light had a character named Robin, and that's who I'm naming my baby Robin. I don't care if it's a boy or girl. And so after all those years, I get cast on Guiding Light, and suddenly it's like my son, the actor.
Wow, that's full circle.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, I must say, I was disappointed when you decided to become an actor because I always wanted you to be a bartender.
Isn't that?
You wanted to
used to be the same thing.
You wanted to be an actor too.
Yes, I did.
I was a bartender for a long time in private events, and mostly down in New Orleans. I worked at Brennan's and I worked at but no, on the floor. But at Brennan's, I actually took some time behind the bar, and part of the Brennan's a 3-course breakfast is there's a cocktail first, and then an appetizer, then the egg dish, and then some flaming dessert at the end. And one of the cocktails was a Ramus Gin Fizz, and I remember just getting slammed behind the bar, and all these waiters are coming in asking Ramus Gin Fizz, and so you know exactly what it takes. And I'm thinking back, I said, tell them to order a fucking Bloody Mary, because that was easy to make.
It's so much easier to make a Bloody Mary with the Bloody Mary mix. Oh yeah,
dry shake? Are you kidding me? What are you doing here?
And you couldn't be in a better place than Brennan's.
Well, yeah, it was awesome. There,
tried to have as many breakfasts there as I possibly could over the years. Yeah.
And I was there. I was at Commander's Palace. I had, I'd been in the restaurant industry since I was 14. I had a first job as a pot washer. The chef couldn't stand me because I was talking too much. So he says, "You're going out on the floor." So I ended up out on the floor as a busboy.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of progressed from there.
How did you get to New Orleans?
I was in my transition stage after college. I wanted to be an actor. I didn't really know how to do it, but I remember a college professor said, "Just get out there and do it." So I said, okay. So I spent 4 years on the road doing stand-up comedy, improvisational comedy, dinner theater, children's theater, anywhere where I can actually, get on stage. And of course, to support myself, I was doing all of these different jobs. I was in Houston as a dining room manager in a really elegant restaurant, and and I had just left it, and I was going to start another job in a day or two. Some friends of mine said, "Hey, we're going to New Orleans for Mardi Gras." I said, "Oh, shit, I've heard of Mardi Gras. I want to go."
Yeah.
So I went with them, and I got drunk out of my mind. We got there on Saturday. I had no idea what to expect. I literally had no idea what to expect. Because, again, this is before mass communications, anything like that. So I just went insane, and I got so drunk. I ended up with some people from Minneapolis, and they brought me up to their hospitality suite in their hotel to kind of sober up. And I did. I get downstairs, and I'm going, I don't even know how to get back to where I was at. And in my wallet, I had one phone number, and that was the phone number of a guy who I used to work with in Houston at a restaurant, and he and his wife had moved back to her native New Orleans. So I called him up, and I said, "Rick," and he goes, "Robin?" I go, "Yeah, man." I go, I'm in no, and he goes, "You're in New Orleans?" I'm going, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, where are you at?" I said, I don't know, man. I'm in like a hotel, but the bar's spinning. He goes, "You're at the Monteleone. Don't move. I'm coming to get you."
The Carousel Bar, yeah.
The Carousel Bar.
Absolutely.
And I stayed for a year and a half.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
I stayed for a year and a half. I was supposed to go back, and, his wife, Judy, goes, "Darling, this is New Orleans. I can get you a job anywhere. Are you kidding me? What are you going to go back to a restaurant job there for? Right? You're going to forget about it." And next thing I know, I was working at Brennan's.
Well, Dickie Brennan is a friend of the show. We've had him on twice.
Yes. Now, this was the other Brennan's.
Yes,
right,
this
exactly.
is the other side of the family.
That's right, the other side of the family.
Yeah, and it was like a blood feud.
Right.
And I was on the Owen Brennan. And
That's
then
right.
When I actually went to, I got a great story about this. It'll make it short. I actually ended my time at Brennan's. I did something else. And then one of the guys I knew at Brennan's was also, he was connected with both restaurants, Commander's Palace. And he said, "Yeah, I can get you a job as a Commander's Palace, but not as a captain. I can get you in as a waiter." I said, "That's fine," because there was a very, very strict hierarchy.
Yeah.
Okay. Captains are the only guys who are allowed to do the tableside stuff. Okay. But I had done that tableside stuff in restaurants before, but no, you're coming in as a waiter, and that's all you're going to do. Fine. Ella Brennan, the great matriarch of all things in a restaurant, was walking that floor every single night.
Wow.
Every single night. She had her eye literally on everything. She finds out I'm there, and she's going, "Okay, what the fuck is up with this? Because that's the other side of the Brennan family," right? So already I'm now viewed with suspicion, right? Now, Commander's Palace is an open kitchen, right? So when you come in to actually go sit in the bar waiting for your table, you're walking through the kitchen. This is a very unusual experience for anybody working in a restaurant. So you kind of get used to actually kind of dealing, you can't have F-bombs everywhere and stuff like that. You have to be careful. So at one time, we're slammed one night, and I'm working with a captain who was a really good guy, and he and I got along. We got drinking together. And he knew that I knew all the whole setup, but, according to the hierarchy, I'm not allowed to do it. So one night, we're slammed, we're in the weeds, and he goes, "Robin, 21, man. They need Café Brûlot. I can't do it." I said, "Got it." Right. So I went in the kitchen. I had to convince the kitchen staff that the captain said it was okay if I set up the Brûlot cart because I'm going to execute. So I take the Brûlot cart out, and for those people who don't know what Café Brûlot is, it's like one of the most magnificent flaming coffee desserts that you'll ever see.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of created there in New Orleans. So I take the cart out, and so I'm heating up the mixture right here. And the first thing that you do, that's the big theatrical thing, is you take the orange and you peel that into a single helix like that, right? And then you are then to actually take cloves and dot the orange with. And while I'm doing that, Ella is across the dining room, and all of a sudden she's here, like a second ahead.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sticking the cloves into the orange while Ella is like breathing down my neck right here. And I finally get the whole thing done, and I'm trying to actually have funny banter, with the, I'm sure that, we're all, this is Miss Ella Brennan, and I'm trying to get the whole thing done, and then you flame the coffee, and then you take the thing and you pour it over, and it's this wonderful it's
amazing presentation.
It's a spectacular presentation.
I've seen Dale DeGroff do it.
Yeah, and Dale's done it, and like if you were like if you had done it for a while and you actually had the feel while all of that blue flame is dripping down that orange, if you take the fork and because it's sticking in the tines on the top, if you take the fork and just flick it like that, a little bit of the flame will pop out onto the table and go poof like that. And man, your tip just goes through the roof.
Yeah, of course. Performance art.
Yeah, it's performance art. Yeah. So, so that was like my time back there in those days.
Amazing.
That's great.
We love New Orleans.
We love New Orleans.
New
we
Orleans
also want to make sure we talk about
we
your
should
newest.
talk about the books.
Let's talk about your newest baby. Your newest baby here.
Yeah.
I loved flipping through this book
Thank
and reading it, because I spent 18 years of my career representing various brands of Scotch whiskey,
Sure.
notably Johnny Walker and Dewar's, and others, including Pinch or Haig and Haig.
And there you go. They're all in there.
It's all in there. You dedicate the book to Amy and Rose, I presume your wife and daughter.
My wife and daughter.
Yeah, and your daughter's Rose.
My daughter's Rose.
And she's in the business? Or
No
she
longer.
No longer. Okay.
No, actually, she's actually wrapping up as of now a 1-year solo trip around the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and right now she's actually in Georgia working in a winery.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, Dad and I were just talking about how interesting it is that you include a portion on the Neolithic period.
Yes.
Of all periods in time. I mean, you're literally going way back.
Well, the whole idea about doing this, this is 100 separate short stories.
Yeah.
And I'm a storyteller. What I do is tell stories. I love stories. I've been born on a story. The story that I just gave you there, those are like stories that came out of real events, but the story should be entertaining, right? Otherwise it's a shaggy dog story and everyone's wondering, okay, where the hell is that going to go? Aristotle told us 3,000, 4,000 years ago, a story has a beginning, a middle, and end. And when you break from that format, right, you'll lose people, right? So the whole idea of this was to actually make 100 separate short stories, but then follow the entire course. But when you follow the course of whiskey, well, that's only 500 years, right? What happened before that? And then you start thinking, well, once that happened, then what happened before that? And then it takes you all the way back to, it all starts with a pot. So think about that just from an anthropological perspective of, taking something that held liquid and other things, and you're able to mash stuff together. And then the result of that mash is something different than the individual ingredients that you put in there.
Right.
It's a stew, it's whatever it is. That's the beginnings of putting things together in a pot.
Yeah.
And so it has to go all the way. You have to start there.
And I was really pleasantly surprised to also see that you had included Chartreuse.
Chartreuse. Yeah,
Dad
right?
loves pronouncing it.
Yeah,
the
so
French
Chartreuse
pronouncing
is
his things.
fantastic because Chartreuse gives us our connection from when aquavita
Right.
was a medicinal health induced, and it was done only for those reasons. And then it moves into recreational drinking. And Chartreuse is one of that, and genever. Both of those are like these transition periods where this stuff that is really the in the province of monks and holy men and people like that, and they're making elixirs and they're making all of these things that take away all what ails you. But now, how does that move into actually drinking this for the sake of drinking it?
Right.
And Chartreuse is one of those connectors. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Johnny Walker, and you've got a whole section, Walker's Grocer Shop.
Walker, I mean, of all of the families, I
Yeah.
mean, you think about how families have, the Beams, the Dewars, all of the families that dominated it. The Walkers are probably the one family that probably held sway over that whole idea of passing one thing from one family to another family to another family. The Jameson family would be similar to that in Ireland as well. Yeah.
Well, I spent a lot of time talking about Johnny Walker and the history.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
And
yeah.
Tommy Dewar. Who you
Tommy
covered
Dewar, man.
Yeah.
very
Jeez,
nicely in that
This
book.
dude's like my hero.
Yeah,
Really?
Right.
Now, I even put the
Well,
challenge
he
down.
was the-
I said, he's the greatest whiskey salesman of all time.
He's the
You can
quintessential
disagree.
marketer,
Right.
whiskey marketer.
You can disagree, but you'll be
Yeah.
wrong. Because he's the one that actually said, oh, no, it's not whiskey from Scotland. It's Scotch whiskey. And that right there, it turned, because they were competing with Irish whiskey and they're competing with Canadian whiskey. Yeah.
And they were competing with cognac, too.
And cognac was the biggest.
Right.
Yeah. But what happened
that's an
though?
interesting
what
story,
happened though?
right.
The phylloxera plague actually
Right.
wiped out the cognac.
Right.
So
Right.
they were,
Exactly.
initially it was Irish whiskey that replaced the brandy and soda.
Right.
It was the Irish whiskey,
That's- right.
And then people started to kind of turn away from that pot still style flavor, which is really big and heavy and oily and kind of grassy. And what happens with Scotch whiskey is which the Irish didn't do, they adopted the coffee still. When you adopt the coffee still, you're making grain whiskey at a higher level, which has less flavor. So just as an artist is actually taking a palette of colors, when you add white, you actually extend the palette of colors.
Sure.
Grain whiskey is the white
Yeah.
to the heavy green and blue and red. And now I've got a whole palette of colors. These people in Edinburgh, they like it like this. These people over in Glasgow, they like it like this. In Paris, they like it like this.
Right.
And over in London, like it like, I can make something for all of them.
There you go.
Boom. Scotch whiskey wins.
Yeah.
Tommy Dewar says, okay, well, wait a minute. First of all, we got to get away from the fact that, the barrels are being delivered to the tavern, to the inn, and the barrel stays behind the bar, and you bring your own personal container
and you
to it.
Can't see the
Can't
brand,
see it, right?
the name.
And then Ashley invents the bottle. Or the bottle making machine. And now it's actually, so you've got like George Garvin Brown here in the United States that adopts it, for Old Forester. And this is the thing. It's all of these different connections, all of these different people locking on at the same time to an idea. And then there's every once in a while, there's somebody who comes out in front. This is where Tommy comes out in front. Tommy says, yeah, the bottle is kind of like a billboard. So that means something needs to go onto the bottle besides names and stuff like that. And that's when he says, whiskey from Scotland, Scotch whiskey. Here's a Highlander in full regalia. Boom.
Right.
That was it. Nails it.
And they made a film, as you refer to in the book.
And it was downtown somewhere.
It's a commercial.
Yeah, right. It was downtown somewhere. He showed it,
was
on probably like
Times Square on top of a building.
Yeah. And
on the
yeah,
rooftop.
and he projects it onto the side of a building.
Yeah.
And you can find it on YouTube. Find it on YouTube. It's 4 drunken Scotsmen.
Yeah.
Highly regalia like this here, and into that kind of quick motion that they would do back in the 20s, like that, right? And they're looking drunk, and they are drunk, and it's like, oh my God, and this guy's fucking brilliant.
Amazing.
That was considered by many to be the very first advertisement.
Yeah. Exactly.
filmed advertising.
Filmed advertising.
Filmed
Yeah.
advertising.
Oh,
Wow.
man. I mean, it's just
Commercial.
mind-blowing
That's
with this
wild.
guy.
Yeah.
And then he had all of these Dewarisms, which essentially are, they're hashtags.
Yeah.
But they're in the book.
It's in here.
There's 4 of them in
I
there.
read them.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
what,
But I
what
also
like-
have an entire book
Yeah.
of
Dewarism.
Dewarisms.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
moving into kind of the modern day whiskey world,
Yeah.
Japanese whiskeys are massive,
Huge.
especially in the States. And
As
you've
they
got a
should be.
section on kind of how that originated.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 origin points.
Yeah.
The first one was back in the late 1890s with the what was called the Whiskey Trust here in the United States. It was a guy named Greenhut. Essentially, like Rockefeller's Standard Oil Trust, this was all about consolidating the industry in order to actually dominate pricing. Right. And this goes on to today. Yeah. Right. And so what he had done was he had found out about this man named Yokichi Takamine. And Yokichi Takamine was this brilliant biochemist from Japan who had this idea, and he comes over to the United States. He had actually isolated the compound epinephrine, which was medical adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's epinephrine. He had isolated that, right? So he's this brilliant guy. But what does he do? He comes from a sake making family,
right.
And the way they make sake and soshu in Japan is using the koji process, which is a different type of a fungus than actually using the amylase malting process that the Western maltsters did.
Right.
Greenhut brings him over, sets him up in a laboratory in Peoria, Illinois, which is the center of whiskey at that time in the United States. And he starts doing this koji process. And next thing you know, it gets out on the media that we found a way to actually make whiskey cheaper and faster. Well, guess what? You know who doesn't like that? All the malting houses.
Right, of course.
So within 2 or 3 weeks after the Chicago Tribune actually had that article, his laboratory goes up in flames.
Oh,
Oof.
just by happenstance.
Yeah, just by happenstance. They rebuilt it and actually closed down 2 years later after that. And the koji process left whiskey forever. Right? Now, you jump ahead about 25 years from there. And it was the coming together of 2 really amazing men. I always think about what would have happened if Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had actually collaborated. Because remember, they actually had 2 completely separate visions of what the technological future was. And so they both went their separate way, Microsoft and Apple. But what would have happened if they had come together? Well, what happened was actually the beginning of Japanese whiskey in Japan with Shinjiro Torii and Masataka Taketsuru. And these both brilliant men, both have, one's the artist, one's the businessman. Taketsuru had gone to Scotland for 3 years, apprenticed there, comes back with a Scottish wife that he had met there, comes back ready to actually bring the secrets of Scotch whiskey back to the company that had sent him. They decided that Japan had gone through a little bit of a recession. We're not going to make Scotch whiskey anymore. Oh, and by the way, before you left, we actually had promised you to the daughter of the man who owns the company. And who's the Scottish chick? Right? So that didn't work out. He didn't have a job, but Rita, his wife, actually connects him up because she's now teaching English to the families of well-to-do Japanese people who want to learn English, and gets him a job as a teacher. Meanwhile, Torii has this a shoten, which is an import shop, and he's importing all of these Western liquors and liqueurs, and he's blending them all together because it's not really hitting the Japanese palate of roundness and light, delicate, fruity like that, and he's got to like bring them down and everything like that. So he sends a letter to a professor in Scotland to say, can you send me a consultant? And I'll pay him a princely sum if he comes here to Japan, teaches me how to make whiskey. And the guy writes back and says, I just graduated one of your countrymen. His name is Masataka Taketsuru. Oh, yeah. The guy with the Scottish wife. Right.
Yeah.
So he hires him to be his master distiller. Together, they essentially create Yamazaki as we know it today.
Yeah.
And they make their first whiskey. It's called Shirofada, and it turns out to be a market failure. There was immediately a disconnect on what the end result was going to be. And at this point, for example, Taketsuru won that argument and said it's going to be Scottish style, so it's going to have some smoke and some depth in it like that. And they came to market. It didn't do well. They were under a 10-year contract with each other. This is an honor-shame society, so you can't fire someone like that because it actually brings dishonor on both of you. Mm-hmm. So he was demoted to head of brewing in what was now Kotobukiya, which was this Japanese company, a drinks company, while Torii takes over the blending of what is going to be now, today, the most successful whiskey in Japan, which is Kakubin.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
the early beginnings of Japanese whiskey, and I think it's really interesting where it's come from then until now.
Right.
And before we let you go, Robin, we want to say that this book, as of this podcast being released, is most likely now available. Yeah. And you also do classes at Astor Center in New York City, which is great. And I know you've been doing that for a long time. And we used to do classes there many years ago. But I wish we could keep talking and we could keep hearing about these stories. But sadly, it is time to go.
Well, now you have to read them.
Now you got to read them. They're all in the book.
The History of Whiskey by Robin Robinson.
Robin Robinson, thank you so much for
Thanks,
doing
guys.
this.
Thanks so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Now open. Barrel Room Chronicles online whiskey shop, where every bottle tells a story.
Solangevat.
Like Richard Patterson's Timeless Scotch at the Dalmore, Rachel Berry's Elegant Malts from the Glendronach, Benriach, and Glenglassaugh, or the bold Nevada bourbon of Ashley and Colby Frey. From Hemingway Rye's Call Family Legacy to Bernard Walsh's Poetic Irish Whiskey and the Scully family's Coastal Clonakilty, these aren't just spirits, they're stories, and they pour neat. BRC Whiskey Shop, the drams we talk about, now delivered.
That's a wrap. If you enjoy what we do, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show and our newsletter. To watch or listen to today's episode or to see the show notes, visit thecocktailgurushow.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, or TikTok. The Cocktail Guru Show is produced by First Reel Entertainment and is available via YouTube, Spotify, Zencaster, Apple, Amazon, EatsDrinksTV.com, Galaxy Global on Comcast, and wherever you enjoy your favorite shows.